Alright, so basically this was not acting correctly. So we're going to do a couple of things to fix this. One is I'm going to go in here, and if you remember, we had this while loop right here. Okay, and I found that that actually was not helping. So I'm actually going to take this while loop out. Let's see. So that's going to be this and this. So there's no while loop. I'm taking that out. I'm just going to go ahead and grab this whole chunk here, and I'm going to go to Edit, Format, and we're going to unindent one, so it just pops over one. That helps. Another thing that I need to do too is that if you look, you know, we do 0, 1, and then else for the positions, which is fine. But if you look, we go from 0, 1, and 2, which is fine for the locations. 0, 1, 2, yeah. But for the background elements selection, I found that between 0 and 3, actually 0, 1, 2, 3, it's not actually giving me what I want. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a 4 there as well. So that will help fix this. The other issue I was having, so I'm going to go ahead and save that. The other issue I'm having is this, that when it is spawning this game controller, the elements, it's spawning them always in the center. And the reason why is that these are animated to always go right here. So what I need to do is, because it's animated to go here, it goes right down. That's no good. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to take each one of these, plop them all up here, as well as the grass, like so, all 3 of these. I'm going to right click, I'm going to go create an empty, and I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to call it spawn loc 01. And I am, let's just duplicate that, Control D, Control D, Control D, so that's what, 4, good. And I'm just going to rename each one of these. 2, this will be 3, and this one will be, okay, go down the top here. This one will be 4. And I'm going to grab all of these because you can see they are not on origin. So I'm going to 0 that out, 0 that out. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each one of these buildings and parent them subsequently to these things here. Interesting. Okay. There. Okay. And then we'll boom, 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 and boom. Because that way, when these are positioned, the animation will happen underneath them, so it'll allow it to work. Now what I'm gonna do is actually take these 4 and I gotta do one at a time. We're gonna make this one, this, don't replace this one, and this one, and I don't need these anymore. And I'm gonna go to game controller, and when it's asking for spawning, I'm just gonna do each one of these. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, element count is how many it's allowed to be built. So I'm going to try doing, let's try doing 3. And then the spawn weight I'm going to set to 2.5, and then the start weight is going to be 0. All right, and I'm just going to go ahead and play. And it should, there's 1, and there's the next one. So on and so forth. It is animating each one of these little chunks here. Okay. Yay. All right. That's great. So now what I'm going to do is do the same thing basically, but for the enemy. I'm going to go to Asset, Scripts. I'll make a new script, Create, JavaScript, and I'm going to call it, what was the other one called? Called it Enemy Controller Script. I guess we'll just call it Game Controller Script. Okay, boom, boom, boom. Double click on that puppy. Wait for it to pop up. I'm going to drop it onto the game controller. And it popped up here. And I am going to add some variables. Basically what this is going to do is spawn our enemy. So we need a variable to hold the enemy that I want to spawn. So I'm just going to call it enemy. And obviously it's a game object. I'm going to spawn a game object. And a variable for the enemy enemy count, and that's just going to be how many enemies we can have at a time. And then we're going to have the it's a lot like the other one, really. Variable spawn wait, how long to wait between each spawn, and then a variable for start wait, and how long to wait before we spawn an enemy. All right, so right in the beginning on start, I'm just gonna go ahead and do spawn waves, and this is just a I'm gonna call this function, and then I'm just gonna use this one as my spawn wait function, and this is just one I'm creating special, spawn waves, and it's gonna be basically a lot like the background spawn one, pretty much. So if you remember that, I'm just going to do it by hand, but you could probably copy and paste some of this. So first things first, I'm going to tab in here, and I'm going to do a yield wait for seconds, start wait, right? So how long is it going to wait to actually do this? And then it will be this, and so then it'll be 4. Oops, sorry. Oh, we don't need to do that. Sorry. Just do a space 4, and we will say while variable I, which is going to be an int, and we'll start it at 0, and then we'll say while I is less than the enemy count, and then each iteration add 1. All right, and it's going to do what's inside of this function. So variable spawn spot, and that will be an int, and it will be an int that's either, it's going to be a random dot range between 0 and 2, because 0, 1, 2, 3 spots that it can be in. If you remember, there's 3 spots, 1, 2, and 3. All right, and we'll do a semicolon, and then we're gonna say this. So we're gonna say, actually this goes here. If the spawn spot is 0, it is going to do this bit of code here. So we're going to say variable spawn position 0, 1 is going to be a vector 2, and we're going to assign it a new vector 2 -5 and 5. All right, and then we're going to do another variable for the spawn rotation 0, 1. Okay. All right, and this is going to be of the type quaternion, which is just a type of rotation. That's what that is. There's Euler, which is normally what we use in Maya, and then quaternion is like another type. It's just another mathematical way of defining basically orientation. It's nice because it doesn't have gimbal lock, but it's harder to understand, like as far as animation is concerned. So we're going to instantiate, and we're going to instantiate the enemy and the at the spawn position and the spawn rotation 0, 1. I got the 0, 1 on both of those. Whoops. 0, 1. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. Okay. And then it's going to go ahead and do yield wait for seconds, and it's going to wait for the spawn wait amount that I will later dictate. Okay, and basically this is just going to be this for each one of the different spawn spots. Oops, sorry. Control V. And I'm just going to say, okay, if it comes up with number 1 from this random range, because could be random rage, I don't know. Then it's going to put it in spawn position 2. And the last one's just going to be else, because if it's not 0 or 1, it's obviously going to be 2, but we just put else. So I'm just going to do spawn position 3. And position 3. And this 3. And we actually got to take the same numbers from the other one. So it was, I'm just going to copy this because it's the same as the buildings. We're going to paste that in there. So minus 3.57, 0, and then 7. And Control C and Control V. Okay. Control S, and I think that is good. Let's go over here and hope for expected a semicolon. So I screwed up somewhere. Semicolon. Where did it expect a semicolon that I didn't put one? Huh. Let me look at console here. 16 it says. Line 16. Oh, yep. There it is. Okay. And if you look, it's going to need an enemy. So I'm going to go to my project, and I should have, we made it before under prefabs. I have my enemy. So I'm going to go to game controller, and we're going to drop enemy into enemy. This is what it's going to spawn. And then enemy count, we'll say 2 at a time. Spawn wait, we'll wait 2.5. And start wait, I'm actually going to wait like 2 seconds so that the player has time to understand, see what's going on. Alright, there's the guy, and there's the next one. He's throwing all sorts of things. Okay, so I'm running the same problem before what I did where, if you look, he's always going to spawn from the middle, because basically, and actually I'm going to take let's do 100. This one I think is a little bit different, where he's going to always spawn from the center because of the way the animation was set up. Okay, so what I got to do is vary this each time. So what I got to do is take the enemy here, bring him up here, and we'll create an empty. Okay, and I'm just going to call this enemy spawn. We'll call it. Take the enemy, I'm going to plop it underneath this guy. We're going to 0 out. So 0 tab 0, good. And I'm going to take my enemy spawn and 0 that out. 0 tab 0. And we're just going to take this, drop them in here. I'm going to get, and we'll delete it there. And that's actually, I'm going to use this as enemy spawn for the enemy. Alright, and that should be good. And then, oh, that's kind of weird. Hang on a second. This should be, where are you? Spawn 4 should be this. And let's choose none for that. There we go. Alright. Got kind of messed up. Alright, so now, we should have these various things. It's a little bit off. I might have to adjust a couple of things here. But you can see he's shooting. Looks like he's shooting a bit fast. I might have to go through and have him shoot quite not so fast. So let's see, enemies. Let's go underneath enemy spawn, then enemy. And let's see, shot and fire rate is 2. Let's try 5. And we'll save that. And I'll play it. And let's see. He's killing himself now. Good. Another thing I'm going to do is, let's see. Let's look at the enemy. Reload, true, kill box script, shot script. Okay, that's all right. All right. So we're gonna call that good for right now, and then what I'm gonna do is basically for the next thing I'm gonna make the player. Okay.